Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're digging into an ancient text to find a, believe it or not, super practical playbook for our modern lives. We're looking at the Bhagavad Gita, not as a piece of history, but as a guide for winning the battles we all fight every single day.
I mean, just think about it for a second. That feeling of being pulled in 10 different directions, the stress of making a huge decision, all those arguments you have inside your own head. What if those aren't just little annoyances? What if those are the real battles that shape who we are?
And what if the strategy for winning these internal wars was actually written down thousands of years ago? Well, that's exactly the promise of the Gita. It's more than just philosophy. It's a real deal strategy guide for finding your peace and your purpose, even when everything around you feels like total chaos. So let's set the stage. Every single day, you and we step onto a battlefield. It doesn't have swords or shields, no. It's a battlefield of choices, of anxieties, and that constant, nagging search for meaning.
You know, the main character in the Gita is this great warrior, Arjuna. But let's forget the whole mythic hero thing for a moment. Just picture this. He's in his chariot, he looks out at the battle he's about to fight, and he just freezes. He's completely paralyzed because he sees people he cares about on both sides. He actually says, I don't want victory or kingdom. What's the point of this life? That exact feeling, being so overwhelmed by a choice that you just shut down, we've all been there. That's our battlefield. So when we're at that standstill, frozen just like Arjuna, we're facing a massive choice about how to get moving again. And the Gita, it lays out two totally different mindsets for how to do that.
And check out the contrast here. It's pretty stark. On one side, you've got this guy Duryodhana. His whole philosophy is basically, I need to win and be king, even if everyone else gets wiped out. It's pure I, me, mine. But then you have Arjuna, who's coming from the complete opposite direction, saying, I'm ready to sacrifice myself for them. One path is all about selfish ego. The other is about finding a higher purpose, a righteous duty. And that's the fundamental choice we all face.
Okay, so you're facing this choice. How do you cut through all that confusion, all that ego, and find the right path? The Gita's answer is, honestly, way ahead of its time. It doesn't say just believe, it says use your intellect. And not just being smart, but a sharp, clear, discerning intellect that it calls buddhi. This part is so important. The Gita is practically shouting from the rooftops. Use your intellect. Get knowledge. The path to truth isn't about shutting your brain down and having blind faith. No way. It's about turning your brain on and sharpening your intellect so you can finally see things clearly for what they really are. And this is how it works in practice. It's brilliant. The Gita pinpoints 4 main reasons we suffer. First, there's abhinavesha. That's when we get way too identified with our bodies. You know, the fear of getting old, of dying. The cure? Dhamma buddhi, an intellect that understands we're part of something bigger. Then you've got ragadvesha, the classic roller coaster of loving things and hating things. The fix for that is vairagya buddhi, an intellect of detachment. For asmita, which is just plain old pride and ego, the cure is bhakti buddhi, focusing your intellect on devotion to something beyond yourself. And finally, avidya, or just pure ignorance, is cured by gnan buddhi, the intellect of true knowledge. It's like a perfect prescription for what's ailing our minds. All right, so the tool is our sharpened intellect. Got it. But how do we actually use that tool out in the real world? You know, at our jobs, in our relationships, just in the daily grind. Well, that brings us to the art of action. And this is the core practice right here, karma yoga. People often call it the path of action, but it's a bit deeper than that. It's all about how you act. It's about doing whatever you have to do with total dedication, but without getting emotionally hooked on the results. Listen to this, because this is a total game changer. It says, you have a right to your work, but you do not have a right to the fruits of your work. Think about what that means. It means you pour your entire soul into what you're doing, whether it's a huge presentation at work or just washing the dishes, but you completely let go of needing praise or fearing failure.
The freedom isn't in the outcome, it's in the action itself.
And then it gets even deeper. Action and inaction and inaction and action. What in the world does that mean? Well, it means a truly wise person can be totally involved in life, doing all the things that need to be done, but on the inside, they're completely still. They're in a state of inaction. Their mind isn't being thrown all over the place by what's happening. They're acting, but their ego isn't the one doing it. It's a state of, let's call it, engaged calm.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually live this way? Let's boil it all down into a simple, practical game plan you can literally start using the second this is over.
So here it is, your 5-step playbook. 1. Whatever you're doing, be all in. 2. Practice letting go of the results. Your job is the effort, not the outcome. 3. Look for ways to serve others, just for the sake of it. 4. Work on staying balanced. Don't get too high with the wins or too low with the losses. And 5, and this is a big one, reframe your work. See every action you take as a kind of sacred offering. That's how you turn something mundane into something truly meaningful.
Now, to wrap all of this up, the Gita leaves us with this incredible image. Maybe one of the best metaphors for self-mastery ever. I want you to picture your whole being, your body, your mind, your senses, as a chariot, and it's thundering across the battlefield of your life.
So let's break this down. The chariot itself, that's your body. The wild horses pulling it, those are your 5 senses, always wanting to gallop off toward whatever looks good. The reins that are supposed to control those horses, that's your mind. And you, your true self, you're the passenger riding inside. So, who's the charioteer? Who's holding the reins, guiding the horses, and steering the whole thing? It has to be your sharp, clear intellect, your buddhi. Because if your senses or your emotional mind grabs those reins, you know that chariot is going to crash. Only the intellect can get you where you need to go.
And that brings us to the final and most important question. Right now, in the chariot of your life, who is holding the reins? Is it your runaway senses, your chaotic mind, or is it your calm, clear, and focused intellect? Because the answer to that one question, well, it changes absolutely everything.